a woman having to change their last name because they no longer belong to their father, the family of their father, right? That's their father's namesake. They are now transitioning to a new authoritative, ship with that husband. And so they have to take on their name. So they lose their identity. And the reason I say that is because I didn't realize I was so attached to my maiden name until I had to change it. I've only known myself as an Armstrong, and then getting married, I had to change that to a Walker, right? And I didn't realize that was going to be a big deal, but it really was in that moment. So taking on a husband name. The other thing that I thought about was the fact that some may be expected to sacrifice their personal career aspirations if you have a mate that wants you to work, be an at-home wife or at-home parent, mom. So they're expected to give that up. Also, I had found thinking about personal career aspiration of wife and mother for the sake of the family. Of course, they're definitely expected to sacrifice their independence, right? To move in a way that they want to move, just like men. Like if they enjoy going out all the time, hanging out with their girlfriends or going to the club or, spending money the way that they spent it before, they're sacrificing that just like men, right? Women sacrifice their appearance and or body to have children. That's a sacrifice, whether both want it, but the woman is the one that's really going to sacrifice her body in order to obtain that. Her parents' body to have children, and then in addition to, once they have the children, all of the sacrifices they're going to have to make to raise their kid, to raise kids.
You are making my heart beat. I'm kind of like entering into survival mode here.
Yeah, and that's what
is going on.
So I was reading. So I
feel this constricted by,
and that's what I'm trying to tell you.
I should feel expansive in some.
And that's why. And I was bringing all of that back to, because there was some more, because I just started researching. I knew some things that I felt personally, but then I was like, you know what? There has to be some kind of study. There has to be something out there that actually explores this, right? So some of those things are things that I didn't even think about that were true. And the reason I'm saying that is because from another thing, it was saying how they always talk about, well, if that's good, then why do women initiate divorce so much more than men if they want to be married? I think that's because both parties go into it not really realizing the sacrifices that they're going to make when they have to come together. And I think for women, we typically make more of those sacrifices. Now, that's just my opinion. That some studies show that deal too. So I have other things to back that up. But it does speaks to why I think majority of women initiate divorce is because, like Della, you just said, I feel so restricted. Oh, my heart is beat. Because when you're stepping into a marriage based on that Judeo-Christian foundation, that's the expectation. That's what it becomes, right? And so when you are living in a restrictive lifestyle, the way that I hear like a lot of these men on the manosphere talk, it's no wonder, it's not a wonder why women opt to divorce more so than men. Because, and I'm not to say that men don't sacrifice anything. I don't want to say that, but I just think there's an imbalance, I believe, in the sacrificing. Like one guy responded, he said, well, men sacrifice a lot more than women even know because they don't necessarily express it or say it. And one of the things he pointed out is a lot of times they don't say stuff a lot of times just to keep from arguing, right? Or keeping, peace. So then they don't say certain things and just let it ride. And it may be to their detriment that they do that. But on the flip side, women do too. I think women lose their voice a lot in a marriage, especially if you're trying to be the follow that Judeo-Christian mindset of being the woman that is submissive to the husband, right? So when you in a marriage that honors that.
I guess I'm really happy that I don't align really with those beliefs, because anything that would make me feel that constricted, I want nothing to do
do
with
with
it.
it.
Like, I want to feel expansive. Like, when it comes time for me to have children, I will love my body. I will love the stage that my body is entering into, because I know that my body is going to change, and I've educated myself enough on the stages that my body is going to take. You know, I'm going to do my due diligence to understand the person that I'm marrying, and I'm not going to try and get that person, you know, in my personal experiences to love me the way that I want them to love me. I'm going to, number one, be the person that I want to be, so I can attract who it is that I want to be attracted to or align with. And number two, accept someone into my space where I align with how they love, because trying to change people and have this control over how someone maneuvers, it's like you're putting these expectations in a space where you have no control. You only have control over yourself. So you're asking to be let down. You know, changing your name. I think that that's something that you all should talk about before getting married. Like, if you're not willing, and this is my opinion, if you're not willing to change your name to my name, I might not be interested in doing it to yours, because I don't follow that same constrictive and limited belief where I have to relinquish my identity and step into your identity. We are two individual people, and then in the middle of us stands the relationship. So there's really three situations going on here with this union that we have. And so, you know, in a lot of aspects, religion is very limited. It puts a lot of feelings on, you know, who you can be. In many ways, it makes me feel guilty and shameful for wanting to enjoy pleasuring myself, or, you know, wanting to not take on the name of someone else, or not wanting to relinquish my identity, or not feeling like I have a voice in my relationship. I should be able to express to you how I'm feeling from a place of love and from a place of respect, without that sparking an argument. If I'm coming to you and expressing to you how I feel, and we're getting into an argument, there's a problem. Like, how you feel and how I feel should be something that vulnerability should be, you know, it should be okay to express, and it should be encouraged to express, because that's a way that we can remain connected. And so, you know, a lot of those belief systems, I mean, when you were saying it, it was like literally making my heart beat faster. And I'm, you know, in being able to identify those emotions myself, I'm like, I'm kind of like getting into survivor mode, because it's like, it really makes my body constrict, because it's like, I shouldn't feel that
I think
so much to
I think your generation, we have a lot to learn from you, from this generation, in terms of that mindset, because of that very thing. I think, you know, sometimes I think it can be the extreme. I think sometimes boundaries are good. You know, but then I also do think that some boundaries or limitations can be bad. And so the fact that you can go into a situation with the mindset of saying, I can be totally free in who I am and what I want to be, and meet a partner that is of that same mindset, because y'all have come from that same generation. Whereas for me, like, I'm 43. I'm turning 44 this year. I grew up in like I said, a very Christian environment. And I actually just had a conversation with my mother last week about that. Like, for me, what that transition is looking like for me, because not that I'm questioning my belief system, I'm questioning the association with the religion. So I'm more focused on my relationship development with God, as opposed to the rules that are always, you know, expected when you are a Christian or a Muslim or what have you. The focus is so much on the rules as opposed to the relationship. And so I'm going through this whole redefining moment for myself. And with that, that was what continually sparked the whole marriage thing, is actually listening to a lot of the stuff on Latif's, spin-offs of his different shows, that I'm like, wow, men really, they really do think like this now. Like, not just now, but they're trying to hold on to that. And why are they trying to hold on to it with such verbal, like, they're just like, no, I want my woman home. I want her to be available to take care of my needs. It's her responsibility to make the house feel like a home. And I'm just sitting there like, when you're rumbling all of these things off, just like you, Della, I'm like, and now y'all wondering why women are divorcing. And then they'll flip back and say, well, women aren't even doing all of these things. But even when you know that is the expectation, that causes a whole nother set, because it's like, I know you expect these. I know I'm not doing it. So now I'm not meeting your expectation. I'm feeling, like I'm failing as a wife, or I'm failing as a mother. And these are unrealistic expectations that we try to live by. And I'm like, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not. And luckily with Tay, he's adjusted, and he's just like, you know what? I'm good. You know what I'm saying? It's not like one of those, like, I gotta fight. Like, I guess when you get older, you're just tired of the fight, right? So it's just like, all right, how can we make this work? Because I know as he's gotten older, there's changes that he's gone through. As I've gotten older, there's changes that I've gone through. And now it's like, okay, what do we need to adapt and adjust so we can still, operate in a happy marriage where both feel supported?
Mm-hmm. I must say, I'm actually looking forward to changing my last name. I know you ladies were just like, I'm looking forward to it. And a part of my motivation for changing my last name is that, yes, I've had my last name for the longest, but I don't necessarily attach my identity to my last name as much as I do my first name. But
Mhm.
with that, I'm looking forward to changing my last name to my fiance's last name, because I look at it like this: for all intents and purposes, I am looking forward to representing not only him, but myself and our unit and our children in the best way possible. Like, I look forward to that, and I'm excited to do that. Like, I'm excited to walk around carrying his last name, and our children, our future children, carrying his last name, and people saying, oh, this is your last name? Oh, your name here is good.
Mhm.
Because we step into that role of making sure that we are, treating people properly with kindness and compassion. And we are, being stewards of the world, and we are being ambassadors for ourselves, but also gifting the world with our gifts. And even just being able to, like, basically what I'm saying is, I'm looking forward to this next step in my engagement, to be married, because I value and I actually see this man as somebody who I trust. Like, period, point blank.
Mhm.
If he needs me to change my last name to his name, no problem. I wouldn't question it. Where do I sign? Where do I write my new name? Like, I'm looking forward to it.
Mhm.
And I think the reason why, and I'm not saying this is for you two ladies, but I think the reason why some women are like kind of hesitant about it is because maybe deep down they're not sure about the person that they're actually going to marry.
See, I
You know?
wasn't opposed to changing my last name. I just didn't realize how connected to my last name I was until
Right,
I had to change it.
right,
That's what it really was. I was like, oh, I'm not an Armstrong no more. Like, it felt like, and literally, I guess that's what it means when it says that, you leave your home. Like, that's kind of what it felt like. My last name was my home. That's why I associated with my mom, my dad, my siblings. And then for me to change that, it made me feel like, wow, I don't have that connection with them anymore, because now I'm starting over to create my own. And that was
Mhm.
kind of more of the emotional attachment to the name. And I didn't
Understood.
realize, yeah, I was like,
Not
oh
to
my God.
mention, not to mention your kids. Just think about it. You're allowing your kids, the most precious thing in your life, to go under him, because those are now that's his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
So just wanted
What
to
about me?
It's y'all's legacy, though.
Right. Right.
yeah, but it's okay. Let's just but it's his last name. He's the baby.
That's my point. Then why not hyphenate it, right? That's
My
what some
last name is
women.
hyphenated.
Right. No, I'm serious. Some women are saying I don't mind adding to my last name, but I don't want to lose my whole last name. Now, me, I was fine with it. I just didn't know how attached. But there are some women that feel like that, like we're creating something together. I'm coming in as an individual. You're coming in as an individual, and we're coming together as one. So let's hyphenate our last names because both of us are bringing this thing into the marriage.
That's division. That's still division. You're still not actually committing to one thing. You're still committing to yourself under the guise of being a unit, which you are individuals in a marriage, but when you have a hyphenated name, it's also you effectively saying, I'm not fully yours. I'm still whoever my last name belongs to.
I agree with Lauren.
But are you ever fully someone else's though?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
did you really like, and I guess maybe, I really do appreciate your perspective because, when you were like, you may not fully trust the individual that you're with, it definitely makes me look intrinsically where it's like, that's a good perspective. I never looked at it from that way. In the same breath, it's like when you say, you're not fully like giving yourself to that person. Should we not at some point reserve some of us for ourselves?
When you're married, you can't reserve yourself because when you're married, that trustworthiness comes in to say that I am going to ensure that you can lean on me fully and I can lean on you fully. And I think when you think about the word division, we break it down. DI means two, and then the vision part means to have separate visions or identities or goals within that whatever thing you're referring to. But division also means to divorce. And so we have a relationship between a man and a woman where they have two different visions. You're bound to be split. You're bound to be divorced because when you make that decision, how I see it, when you make the decision to get married, you are effectively saying to that person that you're marrying that I am going to fully fuse with you as a unit. Because even if we use the Bible as a reference point, when Adam met Eve, he lost his marbles. He was like, God, this is, flesh of my flesh. Like, my goodness, and for this reason, a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. When we talk about the word cleaving and fusion and coming together, these are like scientific terms. Mm-hmm. When you think about a nuclear reaction, you can have like a chemical bond, right? And I won't go too deep into this, but like you have types of bonds, covalent, ionic, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. These bonds can be broken, right? This is a relationship. You can have a bond that's broken because maybe you found somebody that looked more attractive, or maybe they had more money, or whatever the case may be. Cool, y'all break apart. But when you become married, that is fission. There is nothing that can break that. Nothing can break it. And that is the idea behind marriage. You are fusing yourself into that person and becoming a solid unit. But when you go into it with, and nothing's wrong with, if you want to hyphenate your name, do as you will. But from my perspective, if I went into this marriage hyphenating my last name while also adding my husband's last name, I wouldn't even feel complete. I would feel like if he said to me, I don't like that, I would understand because it's like, I'm not fully with you. I'm still tiptoeing. I have one foot out while I have one foot in, all for the sake of saying I want to maintain my identity. You still have it. Your identity is not your last name. It's not, your first name. It's not any of those. It's who you are as a person. It's just who you are, period. Maybe it is more of your first name.